Hello everyone, this is CricketSong with Lunar Wisdom, and today's video is going to be discussing true will. I had an interesting question sent to me by a viewer subscriber asking about true will. And the questions are, does a child carry a blessing of a spell from their ancestors or parents? Can this blessing be carried down to their own child through the bloodline? And will a hereditary witch have a step up on a want or need or desire? So what this person is asking is, for example, my grandmother had a blessing. A spell was done, whether she did it herself or whether the family did it, blessed my grandmother. Will I have the effects of this blessing carried through the bloodline, from my grandmother to my mother to me, or from my grandmother to my father to me? And will I also pass this blessing down to my children through the bloodline? And this is all through, they're asking through the bloodline. My feeling, and this goes back to, I think, the video we talked about a natural or hereditary witches. I believe this is where that comment or that question came from. My feeling, after some contemplation and meditation on this subject, I really feel like that we do carry some information through our bloodlines because of the whole idea of the law of contagion. Once a part of something, always a part of something. And I feel that depending on the intention of the spell and the belief of the individuals affected by this spell, I feel like there is something carried through the bloodline. So for example, say my grandmother got together with the family, they all believe in magic, and they did a spell to bring out the natural talents of every family member from her. So then my mother is born, my grandmother gives birth to my mother, and she seems to have just a gift for art, a painting. And this spell is going to enhance that. And my mother believes in magic and believes in the power of this spell because her mother, my grandmother, used to talk about it with her all the time. Yes, you know, you're blessed. We did a spell. You're blessed by the goddess and you have this natural ability. And my mother believes that. So she becomes a wonderful artist. And then she gives birth to me. And she tells me about this. Our family is blessed by the goddess, that everyone has a natural ability, and this natural ability springs forward from them because of the spell that grandma did. And I believe in this. So then I have a natural knack for gardening, and that's my talent. And I have these beautiful flower beds and herbal beds because I'm so creative in this. And then I give birth to my daughter. And when my daughter is old enough, or from her birth, I tell her how our family is gifted from the goddess, and we're all blessed with this natural ability, this natural talent, and we all have this great ability to do something special because this gift is from the goddess. And my daughter grows up believing this, and she has a natural talent for sewing and stitching, and she makes these wonderful dresses and these wonderful clothing, and she feels it is a gift from the goddess through me, through my mother to her great-grandmother. I feel like the belief is a big part of it, as well as a sort of inclination that is carried through the blood. And together it creates such a wonderful thing and such a powerful experience that you will see these blessings manifest. And I feel like because it is generation after generation after generation, you have all the beliefs of all these people following you, especially if you believe it too. So you not only have your own power and your own will, you also have the will of others within the power of yours. It's I could compare it to the idea of using an athame. I use my athame, and when I use my athame, I'm tapping into the energy of all those who used their athame in the same way I do. So I'm not only using my own power and will and energy, but I'm tapping into the collective of all those who went before me who used the athame in the same way. And I feel like that you can apply that concept to the ideas of blessings and talents through the generations. I also feel like this is where we get the idea and the concept of a family curse. So you can use these ideas for blessings and spells in the creative aspect as well, and the nurturing aspect, as well as the destructive aspect, where people feel they have a family curse because their mother told them, and their grandmother told them, and their great-grandmother told them that their family was cursed. And the belief in that carried not only through the mental concept and the spiritual, but also the bloodlines could be carried through. So will a hereditary witch have a step up on the want or need or desire? I think what they're asking is that if we're talking about the will of the grandmother, the great-grandmother, you know, the first one who had the blessing, and if she was a witch and she was trained in witchcraft, that she passed it down to my mother, passed it down to me, and then I pass it down to my daughter, do they have sort of an extra boost because of the witchcraft and the practice of that and the carrying on of that through the bloodlines, the memories and everything that is passed through the bloodlines? Would my daughter then have more of not ability, but a better chance of incorporating that true will or that want or desire to manifest it? And I feel like that's sort of like, does she have like a boost up? I guess if you're playing a video game or something, you know, you get a boost because, you know, you followed through with something. And I feel like, yes, because there is that belief and that desire that was passed down not only through the bloodline, but through the reinforcement of the belief. Now, an interesting question I would then propose is, what if my great-grandmother did this spell and did the blessing, never spoke of it? Would my mother reap it? Would I reap it? And would my daughter reap it? Because we're not speaking of this blessing, but it's passed through the bloodline. And my feeling is, if it is not encouraged, if it's not nurtured, there still would be a remnant of that within the bloodline. But I feel like over time it would diminish because the belief wouldn't be there, the will wouldn't be there. It would like be laying dormant in the bloodline until someone were to spark it up. Sort of like an extra gene or something laying dormant until something triggers it. So my feeling is, if my grandmother had all the belief and the blessing was done, my mother never spoke of it, I never spoke of it, my daughter still carried this dormant, we'll call it a gene in her blood, but then she gets into witchcraft and she starts practicing, and then all of a sudden she is connected to goddess. Would she then, I feel like she could then trigger that and then reap all the blessings that she would have if we would have encouraged it. But my feeling is it's going to take more energy to put it out there, because it like a battery, it wasn't carried through. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's my feeling. And true will being sort of like a blessing and an understanding of what it is you truly desire. So I feel like you can nurture it and carry it through. It can lay dormant and then someone can trigger it, or it can lay dormant and eventually sort of dissipate and disintegrate in the bloodline if it's never encouraged. Over time, I feel like it would, because it lays dormant for so long, it then is never needed, and sort of the energy just sort of I guess disintegrates, or not totally disappears, but sort of carries on through other areas. maybe, I don't know, I guess it could just lay dormant for an extended period of time. Once a part of something, always a part of something. I don't know. What do you think? I don't have any really set, that's my initial feeling on the topic, but if you have some comments or suggestions, I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say. Please share them with me. Comment, video response, or email. And as always, I love you. Mwah.